Good morning everybody, it's Hugh at Berthon. Beautiful January morning down here on the sunny Solent. This morning we're going to be looking at this beauty behind me. She's called LIBENTER. She is a Nimbus 305 Coupé. Really clever little boat. She's been with us here for only a couple of weeks. She arrived just before Christmas. Really lovely little boat. We've had a lot of interest in her already, but I thought it'd be useful for you to have a look around with us. So let's get on board and take a look. So yes, here we are underneath LIBENTER. As you can see, she's the white-hulled variant. We've just rebadged her, so she's got brand new stripes, brand new anti-foul. All of her anodes have been upgraded and renewed. As you can see, big spoon bows, so plenty of shape to get rid of any spray. She's fitted with a bow thruster and stern thruster at the aft end, and there's a generous V to her hull. So she is a semi-displacement form built up in Sweden, and she's a shaft drive. So Nimbus have always tried to keep their boats at about this kind of size with a shaft. So you've got a rudder with anode on it. There's the stern thruster just seated neatly on the transom. Then we've got anodes on the trim tabs. So trim tabs either side, and those are just being cleaned up also. And then we've got this shaft drive. So the engine actually sits in a V-drive formation, so it's back to front, so belts are facing aft, and that allows Nimbus to build the boat with the engine much further aft and give you a proper mid-cabin. So that's her from the ground. As you can see, you've got a really nice cage right the way around the side decks, plenty of grab rails right the way around, and she's got a really smart offset asymmetry to her decks, which we'll have a look at on board. This is our lovely viewing gantry here at Berthon, so you don't have to worry about ladders and any of that sort of shenanigans. All of our boats are just backed up to this, so really nice and easy to get on board. She has got, there they are, a pair of sunbathing pads for her foredeck. We'll start at the aft end here. So bathing ladder that just folds out. Teak laid bathing platform. Shore power sits in this box on the starboard side. Then we have a fender rack for 4 fenders, and the transom shower that just pulls out here. It's one of the whales with a thermostatic valve in it. That just locates in there. This is your socket for your ensign stuff. So really neat. The whole lot can be enclosed. This area has an overhang over the aft cockpit, so it gives you shade on sunny days and gives you some protection when the weather's not so great. And the teak sole is sectioned, so we have a storage locker on the port side and then main engine access in the centre of the boat. So this is the overhang at the aft end of the wheelhouse with a couple of lights in it, fold out teak table and a nice L-shaped settee to sit on. So just forward of the main steps you've got tanks, so you've fillers here for fresh and diesel. That is the out for your black water tank on board. There we go. She is in her second ownership from new. She's a 2015 boat, full option, so she's fitted with a solar panel. We've got radar on board. She's got both of the opening overhead skylights for the main saloon. If I had unlocked this, I could have opened that, but I'll have to do it from the inside. Then moving forwards, really good handholds around down there on deck, and the height of the rails right around is actually very good. So here we are right up in the bows. We've got an anchor locker that's recessed in here, so a through stem self-launching anchor with a Lumar windlass on there and retaining chain. That really neatly folds down, and then you've got up and down buttons and controls obviously at the inner helm also. So looking aft, we've got this foredeck hatch for light and ventilation down into the forward cabin. Cup holders either side, and as you can see, the port side, the side deck is a little bit narrower than the starboard side. So the starboard side has the asymmetric, slightly larger deck. Some pads go on here, and there's a couple of cup holders there also. But this is what I mean about getting forward on her. The side deck is larger on the starboard side, so much safer. Got a decent grab rail running right the way around here. and a bar down there just to steady yourself as you're moving aft into the cockpit. The cockpit can be fully enclosed with curtains, which we've just had washed and re-proofed. And then on the starboard side, you've got this nice locker, so you can fit about 8 fenders in here. There's a load of battery management stuff in here. And there's about 80 centimetres running forward there, so there's all sorts of stuff can be fitted in there, including a dinghy. Just nicely, securely sits down there, and that is your engine access hatch. And all of this just pivots up on a couple of gas hinges, and a separate locker here gives you access to your gas locker, and the aft bit hinges up for access to the engine. So into the main saloon, we've got the galley is over to starboard. Masses and masses of light coming into this boat. So 2 opening lights at the forward end. We've got a really nice convertible navigation bench to port. Main helm position to starboard, just forward of this galley, but it's all really neatly done. Eberspacher is fitted, all works really well. It's freezing today down here, and that's your solar panel regulator. We've got a gas grill, we've got a gas oven. That's your hot and cold sink with a little drainage cover on board. 2 bins in here, and then your crockery and glasses pop in here, and there's a neat little drawer above for cutlery. So it's a really neat little unit, makes most of the space, and just because they can do this, all pivots forward to give you even more space for just preparing food or putting stuff down when you're at rest. Small isotherm front opening fridge down here to keep your drinks cool. This all pivots down, and as you can probably see, the helm seat is actually on a slider, so you can get aft or forwards depending on how you are built. So it's a bolstered seat here, and then everything falls to hand really nicely. So we've got a grey painted out dash, so it's nice matte, central plotter, throttle controller, bow and stern thrusters are here, your trim tabs are just set above that. She's done 284 hours. She's fitted with a Volvo Penta D3 220 engine, autopilot there, more switching in here, and then there's battery management switching underneath the main helm floor. This door opens here. If I'd unlocked it, it will do. There we go. That's the lock off. It just slides off here, so you can get either air in, we can have it set halfway. Also, you can see that cleat down there is really useful for single handing, and you've got this phenomenally good view right the way around. Big one-piece perspex screen on it. Navigator's little cubby hole there. That shows you what she is. Nice handhold for the navigator, and then this rock and roll seat that flips up forward. So you can have this either as facing seating. This table is beautifully done. I think it's Sapele mahogany. It's really, really beautifully done. This folds in half, and then you've got recesses for cups when not needed. All of her Nimbus paraphernalia is in that bag. And this seat here, I wish I had more arms. It's difficult with this camera, so please do excuse. It's not as difficult as I'm making out here. That just folds up neatly like this. You've got an opening light there to get some ventilation in, and you've got overhead lights as well. So you can really make this a light, bright, airy place if you wanted to, or close it up and have the heating on. Totally up to you. But that's the main sort of wheelhouse area, and these have blinds that come out from overhead, so you can shut the lot off for a little bit more privacy. And the sides have either blinds or curtains on the aft windows, and there are red lights forward and windscreen wipers for the windscreen. So 2 offset steps laid down into this lobby area. The forward cabin is a V-shaped berth with an infill. 3 opening port lights with an overhead deck light. Really nice hanging locker in there. That's where the covers currently are. Reading lights, port and starboard. It's beautifully, beautifully finished. All really well trimmed out. It's a really comfortable little cabin. We've got a heater outlet over there on the starboard side, and just a little bit of handy storage space underneath that infill. So round to the port side, looking aft, we have a double cabin. So there's a privacy curtain just in here, a few hooks. Then you've got a really good size cross ships double berth. You've got access also through the foot panel and heater outlet there. That gets you into all sorts of pumps and stuff like that. And you've also got a cubby for a bag just set into that aft bulkhead. Across the way, and there is a shared heads compartment, so it's really neatly moulded out in white. You've got a sink over at the forward end with a locker underneath. Again, it has its own heater vent, then an electric loo, and an overhead shower with a roundel that just flops round, so it keeps all of the back of your door nice and dry. And as per usual with Nimbus, it is all really, really nicely built. So that's the sort of the inside of this boat. I thought it'd be useful at this point to just go and have a look at the engine bay. So this is where the driving force on this boat is. So we just popped off the cushions and it's just on a gas hinge. This is not automated. It is doing that itself, really well built. And that's your D3 220. So it's a common rail engine. Batteries sit underneath here in this aft recess, and again you've got more storage on top and a really nice boxed out section. So the engine is kept well after the accommodation, so it's very, very nice and quiet. She will cruise at 14 knots, burning about 25 litres an hour, topping out at around about 22 knots. So a really fuel efficient boat. All the pipe work is really easy to get to. As said, she is a V drive, so belts towards the stern, drive up at the forward end, all your filters are there. A really, really accessible lump for your engineer to look at, and plenty of insulation to keep it nice and quiet. So many thanks for joining us on board. This is LIBENTER. She is a 2015 Nimbus 305 Coupé, available with Berthon now. Many thanks for watching.